Of when old people speak. I believe age brings a lot of wisdom, and this woman wanted to weigh in on the state of the world today, so I would love to listen to what she has to say.
Truth has become a right-wing concept.
Very true. Truth has become a right-wing concept. Left-wing is more about living in pretend, and the right-wing concept essentially trying to work on reality as we all live in it.
You cannot say it.
Yep.
Because if you say it, you are considered right-wing.
Yep.
And to be right-wing is to be in league with the forces of evil.
Yes. If you say the truth, like men cannot be women and women cannot be men, you are considered a Nazi. And that's what's crazy, is that's why people consider me a political streamer. I don't consider myself a political streamer at all. I consider myself a common sense streamer, a guy who lives in reality, a guy who is pro-reality. And even me just saying the truth about the world is now getting me considered as a alt-right grifting political Nazi. It is wild how just merely telling the truth will get you labeled as the enemy no matter what it is that you say.
It is a Manichaean division between ideologies of one kind or another and those who don't subscribe to those ideologies. And the ideologies brook no dissent, because they represent, in the minds of people who promote them, they represent goodness, brotherhood of man, progress, reason, education. And anyone who opposes them is against all good things.
So the left, essentially, if you don't know what left-wing is trying to progress our nation. Right is trying to conserve our nation as it is. That's why a lot of people used to be left-wing, because the country did need a little bit more freedom. But we got enough. But now we've already reached the point where everything is in a much better state, and now we're trying to go into Looney Tunes world. And the problem is, if you oppose anything that these people are saying, they see you as the enemy, and they must label you as a horrific individual who opposes all happiness and all freedom. I like to worry about this nation, not just for me, but how my kids are going to grow up in it. And I don't think I want my kids being subject to transgender propaganda and OnlyFans whore culture as being empowering. The problem is a lot of LGBTQ pride and transgender pushing is exactly that. It used to be about acceptance and just saying, okay, it is what it is. All right, I guess I'll just ignore it and live my life. But now it's you must bend the knee and say it's the coolest thing ever. And if you don't say it's the coolest thing ever, you're a bigot racist and we're going to try to kill you. And that's what they did to Charlie Kirk, because he wouldn't buy into their delusion. If you don't go in their fairy tale pretend world, they're just going to shoot you. And it's psychotic. It's not a world that many people want to live in. It's a world that nobody wants to raise their kids in. And I'll be real, parents are horrified to send their kids to public school because they're not sure what the teachers are going to attempt to indoctrinate their children into. And that's what's so scary about this. We've seen preschool teachers marching preschoolers into ICE protests, using them as meat shields from potential bullets and or any type of fighting that breaks out. It's nuts.
So they are not just wrong, they're not people to be argued with.
Yep.
They're people to be
laughed at,
removed and
True.
Silenced, because otherwise you're against all good things. So it's that division between good and evil. And unfortunately, if you stand up against an ideology like, I don't know, so-called anti-racism.
I want to pause this. The reason why this is still being pushed is, one, because retards don't get that they're wrong. And two, people are stubborn and don't want to admit that they're wrong. Women in general are genuinely very stubborn. I want to quote a great woman, one of the best women I know. Her name's Sophia. And when she was 7 years old, she, for some reason, wanted to be different and just said that she doesn't like bananas. And she did like bananas. And she didn't know why she said that she didn't like bananas. But now that she said it, she felt like she had to fight for it. And so for 9 years, she never ate another banana again around anybody else because she didn't want them to know that she was wrong when she was 7 years old. I think that's a funny story. I think it's a cute story. But the problem is there are people who are 30 doing this, 25 doing this, who are fighting for things that they know they're wrong about, but they're too or as I like to say, they're too prideful or too retarded to admit that, oh yeah, fuck that thing that I supported, not so good. Don't get me wrong, guys. Don't get me wrong. Even 5, 6 years ago, even I lied and said, oh, transgenderism, I think it's great. Then I quickly realized it's not like being gay. It's not. Because they're now going after our children. And they're attempting to put chemicals in their body that permanently fuck them up. They're now trying to permanently remove their penises at the ripe age of 12 years old. And that's not a world that I want to live in. That's not a world that I want to see continue. And I really believe that people need to put a stand for it, because that's the thing is, back then it seemed a lot more harmless. Now we know what they're up against. Now we know what we're up against. Now we know what they're up to. And what they're up to is going after our children. And I will not stand for that. Absolutely not.
Which basically says all white people are bad.
Critical theory.
Or critical theory. Or you stand up and say a woman is defined by her biology. You're against transgender. So, as you know, there's no discussion. You are cancelled. You are removed. You have to be silenced.
Yeah, we knew you were bullshitting. Well, yeah, that was also in a time period where if you spoke your mind, if you spoke the truth, you would lose absolutely everything. You would lose everything. You would literally lose everything in your life if you spoke out against this shit 5, 6 years ago. And now that the world is waking up, and obviously I went against the grain for a while, but now is the time where there's people who actually have an opportunity to just tell the truth. And even still, people are fearful.
Dissent cannot be permitted. So we're in what...
Who's this woman? This is Kirsha. This is her. This is how she looks in real life.
Thinker of a previous age called cultural totalitarianism. No alternative is to be permitted. Now, first of all, that is an assault on individual freedom of expression and freedom, but it's also a complete repudiation of reason. Because if you say there is nothing that you can say that can dissent from my ideology, and you say you're bringing evidence to oppose me, well, that cannot be the case. If you're denying evidence and reality and thinking and engagement with an idea, then you're denying reason itself. And so the irony is that in an age of supposed reason, we're so rational that we've dispensed with religion. Only idiots have any kind of religious sense because it's not based on reason. That's the thinking. So we're so rational, we've got...
It's actually crazy when people go down that rabbit hole and they say, oh, I don't believe in religion because you can't prove it. Bro, the amount of science-based evidence on the Bible is actually fucking insane. And more often than not, actually very, very, very often, science ends up proving Christianity and the Bible more than it ends up disproving it, which is pretty crazy the more you look into it.
Got rid of religion, and yet we are repudiating rationality completely. This is something that doesn't quite add up. So I would say that we are in a new age of unreason.
Yep.
That's what we're in. An
True.
age of unreason. That's what we've unleashed. And it's an irony because we've done it under the aegis of being rational.
Yep.
But in getting rid of religion...
This is very interesting. This might be the most intelligent thing a woman has ever said. You know, guys, I told you not all women are bad. This bitch is spitting.
We have unleashed an age of unreason. And what follows from that is the erosion of freedom, freedom to think, freedom to speak, freedom to act, and a complete confusion about where the limit should be drawn between what I want and what others need. My duty to others and my wish to realize my own potential. In other words, you know, it's...
This woman looks like a skank. No, she doesn't. This is Kirsha. This is Asmongold's girlfriend. Be kind to her.
I versus we. And all those things. And the confusion is epic. But that's where we are.
I like to say this all the time. People say if you don't like trans ideology, that you're transphobic. When in reality, if you support trans ideology, you're just a horrible person. Let me show you why. I don't hate trans people. I feel sorrow for them. Unless they go after my kids or your kids. And then, of course, yes, I do hate them. But I do want to show you this. Lifetime suicidal ideation. 80 to 82% of transgender adults have seriously considered suicide. Okay? 80 to 82%. of transgenders in this lifetime have seriously considered suicide. I'm sorry. I am not going to encourage someone to go down a route that is going to get them 32% times an 82% chance for someone who I love to consider to kill themselves. I'm not going to lead them down that path. And you're not a good person if you do. It's mental illness. It's always been mental illness. And these people need help. So you're not a good person if you support this because you're leading them down a path to death. That's the God's honest truth. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me every day. Rumble.com/Tectone, 9 a.m. CST.